Every side I get up on is the wrong side of bed. If it weren't so expensive, I'd wish I were dead. Signed unhappy. Unhappy, unhappy, you have no complaint. You are what you are, and you ain't what you ain't. So listen up, kiddo, and listen up good. Stop wishing for bad luck, knocking on wood. Dear Abby, you won't believe this, but my stomach makes noises whenever I... Now I'm gonna switch this up on you now, cause that's John Prine, and I remember the song that I actually really wanted to play, and I couldn't think of it this morning. $175 million. But there's an ad first. Woke up this morning, put on my slippers, walked in the kitchen and died. And oh, what a feeling when my soul went through the ceiling and on up into heaven. Good morning. Good morning. When I got there, they did say, John, it happened this way. You slipped upon the floor and hit your head. And all the angels say, just before you passed away, these were the very last words that you said. Please don't bury me down in that old ground. No, I'm gonna have them cut me up and pass me all around. Hurricane and the blinds can have my eyes, and the deaf can take both of my ears if they don't mind the size. Give my stomach to Milwaukee if they run out of beer. Put my socks in a cedar box, just get on out of here. Venus de Milo can have my arms, look out, I've got your nose. Sell my heart to the junk man and give my love to Rose. But please don't bury me down in that cocoa ground. No, I'm gonna have them cut me up and pass me around. For my brain in a hurricane, if the blinds can have my eyes, and the deaf can take both of my ears, they don't mind the size. Woo! Hey, good morning. This is John Prine. He just died here a couple of weeks ago, and he was my favorite folk singer. He sang funny little songs that would draw a picture in your mind, like Grandpa Was a Carpenter, and he sang a sad one called Sam Stone about this guy coming home from the Vietnam Wars hooked on heroin, and he was just a wonderful storyteller is what he was. Now, somebody just wrote me, Empathy TV. I have just seen your stream and wanted to say that I thought you were adorable. You don't know me at all, and I know it's kind of weird. I just thought maybe it'd be fun to role play with you online maybe. I know you're straight. I'm a boy, that's why I'm saying role play. This is random. I'm sorry. It would be just I could donate to you and your stream and support you and just be here. Hey, you're nice to say so. You know, you got my heart, brother. Empathy TV. You're kind and nice as you can be. Yeah, code LOL, gray hair. Yeah, I got gray hair. Hey, if you're so lucky to live long enough, you'll have some gray hair too, probably. All right, if you're lucky to live long enough. You know, good morning to you. It's Stevie the Guide here on the banks of the Guadalupe River. It is around 5 o'clock, and I am back in my sort of mental, emotional, spiritual gym, trying to bring it any way I can. That old black brother was in the gym And I'm trying to lift some weights, and he goes, "Are you bringing it, baby? Are you bringing it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it any old way I know how." And I don't really follow a script here. I may have a few little bullet points, but basically I'm practice live stream. And things that inspire me in hopes that in some small way that I can raise the vibration of this low vibrational planet. And am I always in a high vibration? No. That's part of the reason I come to the gym, is because sometimes I spin at a lower vibration, and it's not good for me. I can't stay in it. I have to practice my art, practice my craft, and I don't paint pictures. I don't really sing songs very good. I'm learning how to dance, but I'm a work in progress. But I do like to tell stories, and I have been all around the planet, and I do have an unusual perspective. And the further along I go, the more that I am honestly willing to share my perspective with you. Why? Because I love you. That's the truth. I love you enough to be honest and authentic and tell you just whatever's on my heart and mind, whatever comes to me. Now, I stay away from politics here because it's a bad place to be. I've had several of you ask me if I'm, supporter of one or another political figures. I don't talk about that stuff, so don't bother asking me. It leads to nothing but trouble. I can get in enough trouble, sharing some of my views on spirituality, and that's enough, believe me. Anyway, yesterday I was scrolling through Facebook, and I post a lot of stuff on Facebook, and I will say most everything that I post on Facebook, I look for stuff that is uplifting, that makes me feel good. All right. And if it's a beautiful landscape picture, or if it's a shot of some unique creature in nature, or it's something inspiring, that's where I try to be. Although lately I have posted a few things that speak out against the system of control that's being imposed upon us. And it is frightening to me how quickly a system of control is spreading all around, and in my opinion, keeping people very enslaved. And that's a low vibrational thing, and so I'm against it. I'm for allowing people to be free and not, shutting them up in their houses and putting a mask on their face and not letting them get together with each other. And I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to know where this virus came from or how best to deal with it. All I know is that it is a dangerous world, and I've been all around it. And Jimmy Buffett says, life is full of risk, and if you don't get out there and take some, you're going to sit at home and watch others do it on TV. And I'm just not built that way. So I don't quite know what to do about it. There's a certain amount of wisdom in following some basic rules to keep people safe, but when you start, dragging a woman away from the park because she wants to take her kid outside, or dragging somebody out of an empty ocean where he's surfing by himself, and shit like that. It's getting out of hand. And but I apologize if I've, brought anyone down with some of those posts about the virus situation and the power and control situation. I don't like it. I don't like the looks of it. And so, anyway, I don't mean to be lowering the vibration, in other words. I'm trying to raise it and make it high for me and for everyone. And I believe it's when you actually are honest, and you can share people exactly what's on your heart without shielding or shaping or fashioning your message to please the crowd. If you can speak openly and honestly with people, it tends people. What is that quote? Nothing sounds so much like the truth as the truth.
and people tend to know the truth when they hear it, especially in a world of half-truths and bald-faced lies. And so I tend to listen for the truth. The truth rings like a bell. And when someone's telling you the honest truth, you can feel the authenticity. If not, you may not exactly know that they're telling a lie, but you get a weird feeling about it. Or if it's contrived bullshit, you get a feeling about that. Daddy used to call it his bullshit meter. My bullshit meter is going off here, folks. Doesn't ring true. And so I think if you really love people, you give them the truth. Wherever you stand on anything, you do the best you can, unless it's going to cause harm, cause conflict, and I don't want that. But you're going to run into it. It's going to happen. But anyway, yesterday I bumped into a video on Facebook that I shared with several people last night, and several people who I love very much. And it's called Finding Joe, the epic tale of the hero's journey. And I thought it was taken off of YouTube and put on Gaia or something you had to pay for, which I think is sad with several things that I really like, that I used to watch. There's another video called Inner Worlds, Outer Worlds. And that's a really good 4-part video that I highly recommend. And it's all about this universal vibration that permeates everything. It is, I believe that when you when after you die, or while you're still alive, but when you can get out of the speaking mode, that communication is actually vibrational. And all things designed in the world, all things that are held together in the world, are vibrational. And so paying attention to one's vibration is really important. And I'm getting better at it. But go to bed, go to bed. Someone's telling me go to bed, code LOL. Yeah, right. Why don't you go to bed? You sound tired. Past my bedtime. Don't you got better things to do? Some people like to get on, and you got to love them any way they are. But sometimes it's a challenge. I love you, Code. But don't you got better things to do than rattle on my my live stream? Maybe you should go to bed. But anyway, the movie Finding Joe is a really, really good universal tale. And if you don't know anything about Joseph Campbell, he's an amazing guy who studied mythology and found the connection with all the different myths and movies and stories that we watch. There's a universal theme. And whether you understand it or not, everybody is in some phase of this story, this hero's journey. And oftentimes, it's a cycle, basically. It's a cycle that you go through maybe several times in your lifetime. And it could probably be applied to multiple lifetimes if you really look at it and you understood what those were. But with regard to this lifetime, it is oftentimes when tragedy strikes, and somebody dies, or you lose a job, or you have a broken relationship, or whatever it may be, and all of a sudden, you're thrust into this sort of unfamiliar world. Where you've got to deal with challenges and enemies, and you get helpers along the way, and you have to go through trials, and the trials are what shape you and strengthen you and turn you into the person that you're actually supposed to be. And sometimes that means leaving all you know and everyone you know behind. That's what it means sometimes, and you have to go it alone. You have to, it's kind of like Superman. He's shot off the planet Krypton right before it explodes. And as a little baby, he goes to another planet where he has to, sort of find his way. And nobody's really like him. Everybody's kind of a foreigner. But Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz is a classic example of the hero's journey. Little Dorothy's in sort of normal life on the farm with Auntie Em and Uncle Henry. And then all of a sudden, the storm comes and, it carries her off into this other strange land where she's by herself. She got a little Toto with her, her little dog, but she's basically by herself trying to figure out what to do. And it's meant to be that way, It's meant to be that you have to do this thing by yourself, all right? And you have to find your way and go through these trials and deal with the enemies and the pitfalls. And along the way, you'll find people like Dorothy did who are helpful in helping you along that yellow brick road. And you've got to overcome these challenges. And here's an interesting part of it is that when there's a call to adventure, all right, when there's a call, you can decide to answer it or not. Some people don't, they have a tremendous fear of the unknown, and so they don't go out into this adventure, this unknown place. They cling to what they know. You remember in the movie like Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, he's living a normal life, I guess, with his aunt and uncle, and then he comes back and his home's all burned down. And he could just stay there and continue to be a, potato farmer or whatever he was doing. But Obi-Wan Kenobi and company are calling him to, head to the next galaxy and, fight the Empire and be a Jedi Knight and all that kind of thing. And so he chooses to go into the unknown now that everything he knows is destroyed. And his whole life spins out of control, and all he can do is try to navigate through the unknown and overcome all the challenges, and then in the process, it shapes him into the knight that he's supposed to be. And then in the end, though, it's interesting. Once he goes through all this, he returns home to those that he knows and tells the story of what happened, and that others may learn from that. And I'm kind of on that kind of journey. I really am. And I feel a sense of obligation to mankind, to not only that I'm to come to full expression, as a human being, to grow fully, and regardless of what those around me think, it is my responsibility to grow into full maturity, and to share whatever I have, whatever I've grown. It's like if you picture a flower, it's planted, and then at some point, the little seed breaks open, right? And it comes up, and the pod opens up, and then it shares whatever fruit it has with the world. And having been through all these trials over 60 years, 61 years, come through a lot, been around the world, met a lot of people, made a lot of mistakes, listened to a lot of lectures and professors and sermons and pastors, and read a lot of books, and observed nature, swam in the ocean, climbed in the mountains, looked at the jungle, been around the block. And so now to bring that story back any way I know how, in hopes that it will bring some good, some blessing, some positive, direction to my fellow man. And whether you're a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker, whether you paint or sing or dance or whatever it is, you're supposed to be creative, right? You are a creator, and if all you're creating, is a whole bunch of money in your bank account because you're a good insurance agent, I personally think there's got to be something more than just going home and watching the football game and drinking beer. There's some creative thing that you were meant for, and yes, it's an art to building a successful business, and that may be it. But what is uniquely yours? It may be buying a piece of land and building a beautiful home and setting about the landscaping and the fences and the painting, and that's art, and that's beautiful creation, and that will leave something to someone else. Whatever it is, if you're not doing something creative, I think you're missing a little something, a very important something. And but the hero's journey is interesting. Few of the points, I was sort of reviewing it again. I love this film. I could watch this film over and over. Finding Joe, and in every time I watch that film, I find a little bit more of myself. I really do. And Joseph Campbell's not even really in the film. They show a few pictures of him in the beginning, but it's a bunch of people who have been affected, very famous people, who have been affected by this whole hero's journey notion, and who can relate to it. And people have been thrown into tragedy. This one guy, he was in a plane crash with his dad, and he had to walk out of it. And Laird Hamilton, who's a famous big wave surfer. Man, I tell you what, sometimes I touch my hair. The other day I was doing this show, and I touched my hair. I wasn't really watching the, where I could see myself. And I had this, like this hair that was sticking up like this. But anyway, Finding Joe, it always speaks to me about things that I need to focus on, things that I need to improve. Every time I watch this, I probably watch that little film, 6 or 8 times, and I will continue to be fascinated with the content in that film. Finding Joe, the classic tale of the hero's journey. Be responsible for your own adventure. All right. It's like a lot of things. People are having problems being responsible for themselves, for their health, for example. Be responsible for that. If you've got some ailment, I don't believe it's a responsible thing simply to go to the doctor and do whatever he tells you. I don't think that's responsible. I think if you're really sick, you should go to the doctor. But if he recommends a course of action or certainly some kind of a chemical to put in your body, I think before you do that, you should find out what it is, and you should find out natural remedies that, address that situation. Try those first, unless you're in some kind of chronic emergency. What's up from Portugal? Hello from Portugal. I think I've talked to you before, yeah, I love you. Thanks for chiming in. You got to take responsibility for your own adventure, okay? You're on an adventure here. You got a few more minutes, okay? Tick tock, tick tock. How many minutes do you got left on your adventure? You don't know, right? That's the weirdness of this life. You're born, you grow, you die. You don't know what the timetable is. You're going to punch out today, right now. And so each minute is precious. And in this adventure that I'm talking about, it is the path to being a true, fully matured human being. all right? Just like a fully matured tree or a fully matured animal or what have you. There is a certain thing, there's a mission for you to carry out. And taking responsibility for that, what does that mean? Well, in my opinion, taking responsibility for your own adventure means settling your left brain logical down and its fears and concerns and goals about money and bigger house, better car, all that stuff. Settling yourself down and letting that right brain intuitive talk to you, that small, still voice, that God voice, that universal consciousness, that Christ consciousness, letting that talk to you on a regular basis. It's not easy to do in this instant gratification world, but settling that chattering left brain down and letting the right brain talk to you will give you a sense of what is your mission, what is your ultimate end game here on the planet. And what do you like to do? What do you want to leave to mark this point in your life? I believe your life goes on and on, that this dash between birth to death is simply that. It's just a dash in your ultimate life, which is much longer than this physical life you're in right now. And whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it's my feeling and my knowing that it goes on much longer than right here and now. Do with that what you will, but in sort of wrapping up my life here, and that's really what I'm doing. At 60 years old, I figure you're wrapping up. Every day after 60 is a gift. I've seen a lot of people die already, and they're a lot younger than me. One of my grandfathers dropped dead at 52 after he was playing a game of tennis, right? Just dropped dead, all right? The other one at 60 had a stroke, and when I met him, he couldn't even talk. He was in a wheelchair. And so if you're lucky enough to get to 60, I figure every day after that is gravy. And you never know what's going to happen. Hopefully I'll live, a long and fruitful life, beyond here. Anyway, so all I'm saying is take responsibility for that adventure, because it's a cool adventure. And if there's something that you always wanted to do, my friends, do not wait. Do not wait. And you say, oh, when I retire, oh, when we get the house paid off, oh, when we do this or that. I always wanted to go. There's a movie called The Horse Whisperer with Robert Redford. And this lady, she always wanted to go to Morocco. All right. But she said, well, will I ever get to go to Morocco? Probably not. Why not? Take off a month and go. All right. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but if there's something you want to do, take responsibility for your adventure. You may not be able to get on a plane and go to Morocco today, but you can start to plan and to dream and to take steps. And it's amazing when you start on the journey into the unknown, that things begin to happen. Conversations begin to happen. People come into your life. Situations arrange themselves. And so take responsibility for your own journey. When you really truly go on a hero's journey, there's a death that happens. Something dies, all right? Something dies in order that something new can begin, all right? And it's a sad thing. It can be a sad thing because for you that may mean that crowd you're hanging out with is not the one you're supposed to be with. It may mean that you have to be alone for a while. It may mean that your life, your profession, your church, your school, the things that you're doing, the things that you've been building, you wake up. This great awakening that they talk about, I know something of this, and I wasn't looking for that, all right? I don't feel it was something that I actually chose, although along the way I had a desire and a yearning for something to be different. And then all of a sudden, in a series of events over a period of about 3 years, my whole perspective changed, and it can be hard on the people around you, right? It can be hard to go into the unknown when you're in a secure place. Nobody's saying this hero's journey is easy, and you have to. The Buddhists taught me you have to be okay with what is. You do your best, and then you be okay with what is. And taking responsibility for your own adventure and realizing that if you answer that call to adventure, that yearning in your heart, that direction of the small, still voice, that quite possibly when you answer that call to adventure, that something's going to die, all right? Something's going to die. It may be as simple as you're shedding your skin. There was a philosopher that said, the snake who cannot shed its skin perishes, all right? If you cannot morph into the new thing that you're supposed to be, then the real flower of your life is not going to bloom. It's going to stay dormant, and you will not come into full expression of what your life is potentially meant to be. But to get out of that shell, they always talk about the butterfly in the cocoon. All right, it's beautiful when it gets out and it stretches its wings. Turns from a worm into a butterfly. It's beautiful when it finally gets out and stretches its wings. But you know what? The worm that it was has died. All right. When that worm goes into the cocoon, you know what happens? It's not just it sprouts some wings and kind of looks different. That the caterpillar, when it goes into the cocoon, it turns completely into a goo. All right, a complete mush. All right, and it morphs into this butterfly, and then and so the caterpillar has died. All right. And there are parts of it that are never coming back. And all those other caterpillars are going like, hey, where'd that guy go? All right. But it goes into this, metamorphosis, and it undergoes this complete change. And then it has to fight its way out of that cocoon. And if it can't get out, it dies right there inside that cocoon. It's got to break its way out and fight its way out. And then when it finally comes out, it's fragile, and it has to get up onto a branch and stretch its wings, and finally dry out. And then it comes into full fruition, full glory, and gets to fly around and impress everyone, which it does. I've been in the Amazon jungle. I was down there working on a volunteer project. I probably told you that story. I flew in there and they thought I was a jungle doctor, and we're going to build a tourist lodge, and I got malaria ultimately, and it was uncomfortable being down there, but one of the burning impressions that I have of the Amazon jungle is the butterflies. Yeah, the butterflies of the Amazon are really something to behold, especially when you're anywhere around a creek or river. The butterflies, you sit in the afternoon. I remember one afternoon I sat with my guide named Moy, and we sat by this riverbank, and the sun was setting, and the butterflies were shining. The sun was shining through all the wings of these butterflies right at us. And the neon, the iridescence of those butterfly wings, it's just emblazoned on my memory. And he said something about, the spirit is in everything. And he is one of many examples of people I met around the world who have just what I call a natural spirituality. It has not been canned into a type of creed or religion or book or anything. He just feels the spirit coming through what he sees in everything. And not to go way off on Moy and the Amazon jungle Indians, but when you live down in the jungle and you're shut off completely, as he was back at the time, shut off completely from television, radio, certainly internet, and all you have is the jungle and your fellow men for entertainment, you tend to listen more. Your sensitivity to your natural surroundings is much, much higher. And I read a book not too long ago about the Kalahari Bushmen. They have this sense, and the plants and the environment actually talk to them and tell them things. And they can get all sorts of sensory input just by observing and listening, smelling and tasting. And it's amazing. Anyway, so that's where that went with the butterflies. Something's got to die in order for the new thing to live. All right, and you got to be prepared for that. If you're going to go on the hero's journey, you got to be prepared that something you're going to unload some baggage. And as you go along, really, and as you get closer, hopefully to this Christ consciousness, that I believe once enough people have this awakened consciousness, that there will be a gear shift, a gear shift in consciousness, a second coming of Christ consciousness, if you will. And I truly believe that is what they mean by the second coming of Christ, which is a broader collective awareness for humanity. And all of a sudden we will wake up and realize the destruction that we've been doing to each other, and we will live much more in harmony. And I also believe that there are forces that rather we didn't live in harmony and have the collective strength of humanity. I believe that there are those that profit by keeping us separate and at odds with each other. But it all has to do, in my layman's opinion, is settling that left brain logical, that fearful, angry, ambitious, greedy, goal-oriented left brain logical. Not shutting it off, but settling it down, all right? Allowing the right brain intuitive come up and bring a balance, And once you can bring a balance and that right brain intuitive is really able to talk to you, it brings a certain harmony in your brain, which raises your vibration. It brings up that electromagnetic heart energy, and people feel it around you. And there's much more of a love and a love thy neighbor approach. It's really it's much more what Jesus taught us to be, taught us who we are. And I think his simple message was just to remember who we are and not be so stuck and crippled in an unbalanced brain. All right, everybody knows that you only use a small fraction of your brain. Why? Is because they've been shutting down your left or your right brain intuitive and mining a certain commodities out of your left brain logical. All right, you've been taught since you were born to use the left brain. Use your brain, not to go out of your mind. All right, and going out of your mind, my friends, is precisely what this world needs. All right, it is precisely that. And I don't mean going crazy and doing harm. I mean allowing that mind to calm down and be quiet. All right, be quiet, be still, and know. All right, and so, but something, something's got to die in order for you to emerge out of that snake skin, out of that lobster shell, and grow into a bigger space that you require. All right, shed that skin and become new. But the old skin's got to come off, and things have got to die in you. And gradually along the way, your cells die all the time by the millions, and you're growing new ones. You're actually not the same person you were just a few months ago. All right? Is that not weird? All right, you are continuing to grow and regenerate cells, and there are those that say, by the way, that if you have a higher vibration, and if you believe that you're getting stronger and healthier and better, that your body gets stronger, gets younger, right? And if you believe that you're supposed to get old and crippled, guess what? That's what's going to happen, all right? And so a lot has to do with the way you operate your mind. And I believe it is in that balance that a lot of things can be revealed. On the hero's journey, you've got to take that call to adventure and, things like that. But how do you do that? Well, Joseph Campbell talked about going into the darkest part of the forest, all right? That it comes from the Knights of the Round Table, and they're looking for the treasure, the Holy Grail, all right? The Holy Grail, the Christ consciousness, the finding your thing, what your mission, what you're supposed to do, all right? And in order to find that, you've got to enter the dark forest, and you've got to enter in a place where there is no trail, all right? If there's a trail there already, then you know for sure that it's not the place where you're supposed to go, all right? That is not going to find what you're looking for, what Joseph Campbell calls finding your bliss, that which makes you come alive, that which you intuitively know is what you're supposed to do, all right? And in order to find that thing, you may have to go into the scariest place imaginable. And what I find, actually, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, is that in order to go into the darkest part of the forest, when you go into the darkest part of the forest, you may have to enter several times as a series of steps. A perfect example is I started talking in front of groups when I was trying to raise money for the Christian missionary work that we did down in Peru. I didn't like standing in front of groups in the beginning, all right? But I started doing it, and it wasn't too bad, And then I started doing these things called the forbidden discussions, where we talk about all sorts of unusual, supernatural things that humans see and feel and do. And so standing in front of a crowd was a little scary, but then I got to where I liked it, all right? And then the notion of making videos and standing in front of a camera and recording, that was kind of scary. But I started doing that. And then, once I looked at them, then I post them, And then the next scariest thing was that I actually turn on this live stream and speak without any filters at all. And that was scary, all right? And I'm getting over that. That's what I'm doing here every day, is trying to get over that and to speak authentically and free-flowing from my heart and not be afraid of what the reaction is going to be. So that was a scary thing, and I'm getting over that now. I've done this for 68 hours, and so it's getting a little bit more routine. But the thought occurred to me the other day that the next scariest thing is I got to talk with somebody else, and they can cross-examine me. I mean, here I'm in a room by myself, and there's nobody, except on the scroll that can, sort of cross-examine and contest me and trip me up somehow, put emotional vibration into my conversation. And so that's the kind of the next scariest thing. And then there's, sort of running around with a mobile camera and all that kind of thing. So anyway, there's always a dark part of the forest to enter into. But there is a thing intuitively that that you're supposed to do with your life. You can feel it. You imagine it. And when you do, it makes you excited. And you think, wow, if I could do that, man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. But you don't do it. You don't do it. It took me like 4 or 5 months to actually turn on this live stream and talk into this little green light that's on my computer. It took me several months. And I would come into this office every day and look at that computer and say, wow, maybe today's the day, but I wouldn't do it, because I was afraid. I was afraid of what the reaction might be. And, I'm getting over that. And that whole fear thing, it stands in the way of so much. Now, there's a certain, that's why you got to have balance, man. There's certain good things that fear, does for you. You don't go out and play in the middle of the freeway, right? You're afraid of that, and for good reason. And it's good to be fearful of certain things. But if you live your life in an imbalanced way, you're afraid of everything, all right? And then what happens? You wind up cowering in your house with a mask on all the time, all right? And so don't get me started, okay? I'm sorry. But ask yourself, repeatedly. You can ask God, ask Spirit, ask the universe, ask your inner child, what am I here to do? What is my thing that I'm supposed to do? And there's a certain percentage of people, they know exactly what that is. When they settle themselves down and they think of it, they know. Stevie likes to tell stories, and that's what I'm supposed to do. I like to write stories. I like to tell stories. I like to make people giggle, make people inspired. Sometimes I get it right, and a lot of times I don't. But if I don't tell the stories, you see, I'm not going to get a bite at that apple. All right, I have to go out and be willing to get it wrong, to be willing to look ridiculous. And so when you settle it down, most people, at least a lot of people, they know what their mission is. They know that there's something that tickles their imagination. And so my advice to those people is to start taking steps in that direction, because magical things happen. They do. Magical, amazing things happen. When Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist, one of my favorite little books. If you never read The Alchemist, by God, pick up a copy. It's great. The Alchemist. And Paulo Coelho says, when you want something, the universe conspires to help you get it. All right? And I believe that's true. And I believe, just like that story in the Bible where they had to cross the Jordan River, but it was at flood stage, and it was too ferocious for them to cross. But God did not move until they first stepped into the river. They took the first steps into the river and trusted. And those crossing the river believed that God would do something, and believed as if it had already happened. And by God, it did. All right, and the river parted, and they crossed. And so when you see obstacles in your way, you must step in that direction. Move in the direction of your dreams, Henry David Thoreau says. Move in the direction of your dreams, and you will experience life uncommon, something like that. I can't remember, but move in the direction of your dreams, and things happen. All right, they do, and it's my belief that the universe and a loving God, whatever you want to call it, this undescribable organizing force that created all of this, it wants you to carry out your mission. That's what it wants, all right? And that's what you instinctively know. And if you don't know, and if you sit and meditate and try to still yourself and you just think, I don't know what to do. I go back to that job that I hate every day, and I complain about it, and I get drunk over the weekends because I'm unhappy in my life. And I don't know what to do. I don't know. Right? And if you keep telling yourself that, you're probably not going to. But go looking, all right? Go looking for that which is your bliss, that which makes you happy, that which makes you blissful. Bliss is not just a word, happy. It's a soul type word, a passion that rises within you, all right? And the more that you're able to follow that feeling, the more that it will rise, and the more resourceful you will become. as you follow that passion. You instinctively know. Your family may not like it. Your church may not like it. Your boyfriend or girlfriend may not like it. Your wife or husband. Your kids may not like it. All right. All of a sudden, mama's got a gigolo and she's shooting dice in Vegas. Well, that's kind of an extreme example. But whatever it is, follow it. All right, just like the white rabbit, follow it. Dorothy followed it into Wonderland. All right, and there's something to that, and there's something amazing and supernatural, and in my opinion, quite natural. We call things supernatural, but in 2 years of doing the forbidden discussions, which are little groups from 10 to 50 people that I've hosted for the last couple of years until they shut me down with the whole virus thing, and we couldn't meet anymore. But I talk about all sorts of amazing things that have happened in my life. And in doing that, what I've seen over time is that hundreds of people have had these supernatural things happen to them. And when they find an honest, authentic, safe environment where they can talk about it, boy, do they talk, all right? When they're not under threat of being labeled weird or crazy or ostracized from the group as an undesirable, they begin to tell me and the crowd many amazing things about their natural human being experience. And human beings are quite powerful, all right? We're just taught that we're not, all right? And I've had people tell me that they are healers, that they have visions about the future, that they've had past life regressions, they've been visited by angels and aliens, divinely guided and protected, and in all manner of different things. And nothing sounds quite so much like the truth as the truth. And some of the most mild-mannered, conservative-looking people say that they've been visited by light beings who told them to get off chemotherapy and start drinking juice, all right? And they did and got better. Or that they had bizarre things happen in the middle of the night. And, one woman told me she lost her nightgown in the middle of the night, and she found it folded like a man's, pressed shirt in a clothing store on the nightstand. And, visited by supernatural beings, divinely protected. The way I get people to start talking this way is I share with them what's happened to me, all right? And it took me, well over 55 years to admit that when I was 5 years old, two beings came and levitated me out of my bed into the front yard. And I stood in front of them. I couldn't see their faces. And one of them produced a small device, looked like a small flashlight, and shot me right here in the abdomen with it. And I could feel it going in. It was vibrational. I felt it all the way back to my spine. And then that was it. They levitated me back into my bed. And, I don't look like a crazy man. I'm a fairly conservative guy, former Christian missionary. But I'm telling you, this is as real to me as anybody I've ever met here on earth. These two guys, whoever they were, angels, aliens, you name it, they were there and they did that. And why they did that, I wish I could meet them now. That's what I think about often, is I wish they'd come back and explain that meeting to me. But I'm telling you, when I start to admit honest things that have happened in my life, and I'm not afraid of being ostracized from yours or any other group, and when I tell you that numerous times I've been divinely guided, that someone showed up at a critical juncture in my life and steered me in the right direction, or protected me when I flew out of the back of a pickup truck and could have been killed in any number of ways, or any number of other things that have happened. that I had an out-of-body experience and flew over the elementary school, and from that point forward, I've never been afraid of death. That was when I was about 6. And never been afraid to die. You know, I'm afraid of other things, you know, pain and, you know, being broken down and a burden to other people, you know, but death is something to be looked forward to, in my opinion. And so anyway, when I begin to share these things with people, it drops their fear. All right, and it allows them to open up and tell what's honestly been happening with them, so the hero's journey, you know, just to sort of wrap it up, because it is about 6 o'clock, and hey, I got to go to work like everybody else, but I've come to the gym before, but go looking, all right, follow that which makes us feel alive, and at the beginning of that Finding Joe movie, there's a quote, and I can't remember who it's from, but it basically says, it's from Joseph Campbell. It says, I don't think people are so much looking for the meaning of life as they're looking for the experience of being alive, right? Of being truly alive, not being a drone, not being a slave, not being someone 9 to 5 that has to go and earn the dollars, you know, just to live, but being alive, all right? You're alive here in this body for just a few more minutes, you know? Tick tock, tick tock. And so, you know, what does the guy say? Do you know how long it would take me to play the piano? Yes, I want to play the piano, but do you know how long that would take? Well, just as long, my friend, as it takes if you don't learn how to play the piano. You're going to spend the time anyway, so you might as well spend it attempting to follow your bliss, all right? To follow that which makes you feel alive. And Howard Thurman says, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and go and do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. You know, and that's going to raise your vibration. And when it does, you're going to emit better vibrations. It's going to infect everyone, that joy and happiness and that motivation and excitement about being alive. And it's going to raise the collective vibration, and bang, one day it's all going to happen. All right. So there it is. Comes straight out of my heart because I love you. This is Stevie the Guide on the banks of the Guadalupe River. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I love you very, very much. I'll see you later.
Give my feet to the footloose, careless, fancy free. Give my knees to the needy, don't pull that stuff on me. Hand me down my walking cane, it's a sin to tell a lie.
Send my mouth way down south and kiss my ass goodbye. But please don't bury me down in that cocoa ground. No, I'm gonna have them cut me up and pass me all around. Oh, my brain in a hurricane and runs down my eyes.
And the both my ears, they don't mind the size.